I have written 8 books over the years, and one of the most important lessons that I've learned from doing this is how important it is to have a good mindset. Your mindset can be the factor that determines whether or not you finish a book. It can determine if you get writer's block. It can determine whether you're able to overcome that writer's block. So it's really important for you to have the right mindset when writing a book. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the way that I personally approach writing, share what my mindset is, and how I've adjusted my mindset over the years to set myself up for not running into things like writer's block or feeling so overwhelmed that I want to stop writing. Because writing is a mental game. Writing a book is an extremely daunting process. There are so many things that go into it. You have to write good dialogue, you have to have fleshed out characters, you have to have those characters grow and change, you have to have a conflict. You want to make sure that your description is vivid and that you use varied dialogue tags. Meanwhile, you have to make sure that your pacing's not too fast or too slow. Your prose can't be corny. You have to make sure you show, don't tell. You can't use adverbs. There are just so many things to keep track of at the same time, and it's so hard to do all of the things right at the same time. It's so easy to do one of these things poorly and then to have your scene just not end up working or not firing on all cylinders or having there be like a giant problem with it, or your readers are just not invested and not in the prose for some reason. So that inherently feels impossible. Not to mention that writing is super vulnerable. When you write something and put yourself out there like that, it feels like you're sharing a part of your soul, like creating something that you're really excited about and then showing it to people saying like, I'm really excited about this thing, and then having everyone pick it to pieces. It's so easy to internalize something being not done very well in your writing with you just being a terrible person and your idea sucking and you sucking and everything just being awful about you. So it feels very personal. There are some writers out there who have a general idea of what they want their book to be. They might have an idea of the ending and kind of a structure for the book, and they can just write the chapters and like write a chapter and edit as they go. Like they'll write a chapter, they'll edit that chapter, and once they've edited that chapter is pretty much good to go. And they just keep doing this until they reach the end of the book. And when they reach the end of the book is done and needs minimal editing and then can just be sent to publication. I usually feel like I'm going to be one of those authors every time I finish a project and start something new. Like if I'm just coming off of a project and doing the final stages of editing, I'm usually feeling pretty good about my ability to write prose because I've edited the crap out of everything that I've been reading. I have a vision, I have an idea for the story, and I had just finished like proofreading a very, very polished work that I published. And so when I go and start something new, I'm usually feeling pretty good about myself and kind of ready to start a new project. But then I'll start writing and get to like chapter 2 and then realize that my ordinary world setup wasn't right because I barely knew my character, and it would actually be better if I went back and I changed it to something else. And so I redo all of the chapters I've already written, and then I'll keep going, and then I'll reach the middle point and I'll realize that my entire plot didn't make any sense because I need to have a different twist and I didn't set things up correctly and everything's falling apart, and then I get really discouraged, which obviously made me go right back to me thinking that there was something wrong with me as a writer and everything was awful and I'm a terrible person, and everything just felt so overwhelming, and writing felt impossible, and I just felt like I would never finish the book. This cycle used to make me feel like I wanted to quit, but I changed the way that I approached thinking about writing and thinking about writing a book. I stopped thinking that I needed to be perfect and to have everything be working at the same time and like be writing great dialogue and great description and great this all at the same time. So then putting together like really nice chapters just on my first go. I threw that entire approach out the window. Now I approach writing in layers. I like to call this reverse onioning. Like instead of peeling back layers of an onion, you're putting on layers of an onion, like you're building an onion layer by layer. The way you create an onion is not all at once, but by starting with the core and then putting layers on top of it until you've created the full onion. So instead of trying to do everything at once, I focus on one thing at a time and slowly build out my book by going through it multiple times and layering on different things. So in my first drafts, I am only focused on trying to see things for myself and feel my characters. Like, I want to understand who my characters are, because usually I don't have a great understanding of who they are before I start to write. So it really becomes a discovery draft. Like, I want to figure out who they are and how they're feeling about things. And I want to be able to visualize the scenes. So emotions and visuals are like the first thing that I start with when I write a first draft. My first draft is always just for me. I don't show it to anybody. And so this takes the pressure off of me and makes me feel a lot safer in just exploring the draft, because I don't feel like there's going to be anybody that's critiquing me or calling it bad. And depending on what the book needs and where I'm at with the book, I will do separate passes for emotion. I'll do separate passes for description and sensory details. I am an overwriter, and all of my first drafts end up really, really, really long, and then I end up cutting them down significantly later. But by focusing on one thing at a time, I'm able to take off the pressure to be doing everything right all at once. And then it is a lot less likely that I'm going to be falling into a trap of critiquing myself and worrying about why something isn't good yet, or why I'm not able to do something, and have that fall back on like, why am I just a terrible writer? And then that's going to make me want to stop writing and jam me up and give me writer's block. Instead of the goal being write a full book, breaking it down into much smaller steps and doing, a dialogue pass to make sure that all of the dialogue sounds like authentic human voice, and a description pass to make sure that all the description sounds good, and a world building pass to flesh out some elements of the world or fix plot holes. Like in this last book that I wrote, I had written book 4 of my series, and it was the longest book in the series to date. And I thought that was pretty normal for later books in a series to get longer, but because I wrote thrillers, I got feedback on that book that it was just a little bit too slow, and there were just parts of it that dragged. And so I took from that I really should try to keep my chapters a little bit shorter, because I have a tendency to overwrite and love to jam as much information in my chapters as possible. So I had to force myself to kind of keep my chapters slimmer. And I really focused on firming up the pacing for book 5. And I was writing book 5, and my draft was, I think, 170,000 words, which is enormously long. And I was getting really stressed because I wanted that book to be closer to 130,000 words, because the book 3 in the series was 120,000 words, and that one had really good pacing, and I was really happy about that. And it was also a later book in the series, so it had a lot more material. So I wanted it to be closer to 130. I had to cut 40,000 words in order to get to 130. That's a lot of material to cut out of the book. And I was starting to really panic, because I only had a couple of weeks until I had to send the arcs off to the printers, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. And so while I was working on finishing to write the climax, I was trying to write really short, but I just couldn't get everything that I wanted to get into it short, and it was just really stressing me out. But I was trying to cut these chapters down while I was drafting them before I was sending them to my editor, and that felt impossible to do. But with a couple of weeks of decompression time and buffer time, when I went back and did an editing pass solely focused on trimming down the word count, I was able to get that book down to 137,000 words, and that's going to be the publishing length. That's the most I've ever trimmed out of a book, ever, in my entire life, and it was so easy. I was just reading through it, and as soon as I started getting bored, I slashed stuff. I never even deleted a scene. I just trimmed fluff from my chapters and cut them all down lengthwise. I wasted so much time trying to cut that book down before I was ready to do that in its own onion layer, and if I had just not worried about it and waited until I was cutting everything down, I could have saved all of that time. Now that I've written 8 books, it's a lot easier for me to see structure in my writing process. I understand, when I get a feeling at a specific part in the process, it's familiar, and I'm oh, I've been here before. The self-loathing has shown up right on time, or, oh, I've been here before. The ridiculous overconfidence has shown up right on time, or I've been here before, and me worrying about the prose is showing up right on time. It's harder to do that when you haven't written multiple books, but I'm here to tell you that if you focused on just doing one thing at a time, it makes finishing a book a lot easier and makes it less likely that you're going to get bogged down by the enormity of the project and stress about the weight of all of the things that you have to worry about. There's this quote that I really like. It's actually about grief, but I think it really applies to writing. And so I reread this quote every single time I get nervous writing a book or diving into a project. My grandmother once gave me a tip. In difficult times, you move forward in small steps. Do what you have to do, but little by little. Don't think about the future or what may happen tomorrow. Wash the dishes, remove the dust, write a letter, make soup. You see, you are advancing step by step. Take a step and stop. Rest a little, praise yourself, take another step, then another. You won't notice, but your steps will grow more and more. And the time will come when you can think about your future without crying. Happy winter gardening. So if you're freaking out about a book that you're writing, if you're feeling writer's block, if you're feeling discouraged because you think that it's never going to be better, it's never going to be good, you just can't ever get to the end of this project, take a breath and choose your next step. Just take one little step. Don't say, oh, I'm going to make this chapter better. You're going to say, oh, I'm going to go through this chapter and vary the dialogue tags, or I'm going to go through this chapter and make the dialogue more voicey. Giving yourself actionable small tasks that can be checked off a to-do list easily will make you feel like you're advancing in your project. And if you do enough of those steps and take enough steps, eventually you will be able to get to the end of that book and you will finish writing it. So that's all I got for this video. This is just one of the most important lessons that I've learned from writing my 5-book series, and it's something I've been thinking a lot about because this is something I was really struggling with the last book that I wrote. But I hope it's helpful to you. If it was, I'd super appreciate it if you could give this video a like and also subscribe to my channel. My name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning author who makes videos sharing actionable writing tips that helped me make my own writing better. I'm the author of the They Stay series, which is a paranormal thriller series featuring a group of teenagers who have to go up against some pretty terrifying evil ghosts. And I also have some other projects I'm working on in the kind of paranormal crime thriller-esque genre. So that's where my heart is and the kind of books I really love to write. I hope you have a fantastic week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.